10 billionaires that are now broke. Most people in the world will never even come close to being a billionaire in their lifetimes, let alone actually get there. There are even fewer of those who have gotten there but ended up losing it all. Here are 10 billionaires that got the billion but are now broke. Number 10. Sean Quinn. Sean Quinn was once one of the most powerful men in Ireland and the world. He held the status of being the richest person in Ireland and had a net worth of over $6 billion. His holding company, Quinn Group, aided him in getting major stocks in giant companies like the Bupa Ireland and Anglo-Irish Bank. In 2011, he decided to take a risk and invested $2.8 billion into the Anglo-Irish Bank, using his own insurance company to carry out the investment. And though it seemed like a risky but promising investment at first, it didn't pan out that way. In the same year, the country was hit with a financial crisis. Anglo-Irish Bank collapsed, and with it did the empire of Sean Quinn. Number 9. Alberto Villar. Alberto Villar was once known as one of the biggest supporters of the performing arts. At his peak, his net worth was more than $1 billion, and he had reportedly donated about $250 million of it towards opera centers and performing arts centers and events. That's one of the reasons why his downfall came as a really big shock to people. He didn't just make a bad financial decision and accidentally lose his money. He was caught laundering money to offshore locations and was found guilty on multiple counts of fraud. The court seized everything he owned and gave him a 10-year sentence, which just ended in 2018. He's out of prison, but it's unlikely that his life will ever be the same again. Number 8. Jagolfur Gudmundsson. In 2005, Jagolfur Gudmundsson became the second billionaire in Iceland and one of the richest men in the entire world, with a net worth of $1.1 billion. He made his fortune with his own brewing company, Bravo International. He then went on to become the chairman of the biggest bank in Iceland, the Land Bank, and he also bought 90% of the English Premier League football club. Just when he was at his peak, Iceland was hit with one of the biggest financial crises in history. The crisis quickly swept away everything he had. He had to file for bankruptcy and ended up with $1 billion in debt. In December of 2008, Forbes listed his net worth at $0. Number 7. Patricia Kluge. All billionaires have their own ways of getting to the billion-dollar mark, all unique in their own way. Patricia Kluge got into the list of billionaires through marriage, or to be more precise, through divorce. Patricia Kluge was once married to John Kluge, who was the richest man on earth in 1990. His net worth was a staggering $5 billion. In the divorce, she got the insanely lavish 960-acre Virginia estate of Albemarle, along with a monthly alimony payment of $1 million. In the vast estate, she decided to open up a vineyard. Her business boomed and her wine won several awards. Trying to bask in the success and take it further, Patricia took out a loan of $65 million and decided to expand her business by tenfold. She wanted to take the regular vineyard and turn it into a super luxury version called Vineyard Estate. This venture didn't go so well as the housing crisis hit the US at the same time, causing land values to plummet. Vineyard failed, and she was crushed under the debt, had to file for bankruptcy soon after. Number 6. Robert Allen Stanford. Robert Allen Stanford was the chairman of the infamous financial services company, Stanford Financial Group. He made his fortune flipping houses in Houston with his father in the 90s and just kept growing. By 2012, his estimated net worth was around $2 billion. In 2009, the facade ended. The SEC charged Robert Allen Stanford with several counts of conspiracy and fraud. Turns out, he'd been selling certificates to investors by showing them hypothetical data and claimed that it was historical data instead. Overall, he was able to gather up over $7 billion this way. Robert Allen Stanford was sentenced to 110 years in prison and is still serving his sentence today. Number 5. Elizabeth Holmes. In 2015, Elizabeth Holmes became the youngest self-made female billionaire with the success of her healthcare technology company, Theranos. That year, her company reached $9 billion in valuation, earning her a spot in Time magazine's 100 most influential people's list that year. That same year, dozens of articles were published that doubted the type of high-tech blood testing technology that Holmes claimed that Theranos was coming out with. An investigation was launched against her, and in 2018, She was charged with deceiving her investors with massive fraud and had to pay hefty fines, had to return shares worth around $19 million. Things got even worse for her in 2018 when she was charged with 9 counts of wire fraud and other charges and is awaiting trial. Forbes magazine, the same magazine that listed her as one of the most successful women in the world, listed her as one of the world's most disappointing leaders. Number 4. Jordan Belfort. Most of us are already familiar with the story of Jordan Belfort. The movie The Wolf of Wall Street was an adaptation of his memoir by the same name. He went from being a door-to-door meat salesman to earning more in 1 year than most people would in their entire lives. In his early 20s, his yearly income was upwards of $250 million. His climb to success was cut short in 1999 when he pled guilty to the charges of fraud and money laundering. He confessed to having been a part of stock market manipulation and penny stock crime, had to serve 22 months in prison and lost his entire fortune, down to the last dollar. Number 3. Huang Wenji. Huang Wenji is one of Asia's most inspirational people. He didn't just stumble upon a fortune, he literally built it from the ground. He and his wife started the infamous umbrella company China Jincheng Holdings and ended up with a net worth of almost $2 billion. They had pretty much only ever seen it grow until 2017 when there was a sudden dip in the Chinese stock market. Company shares nosedived and lost 95% of their value in just 48 hours, and with it, so did his net worth. Number 2. Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya inherited Kingfisher Beer, which was a mid-sized company at the time, from his father when he was only 28 years old. He took the average business and made it so successful that it turned into one of India's most successful liquor brands. Within a few years, Kingfisher became a multi-billion-dollar company, securing for him a massive $1.5 billion fortune. In 2003, he branched out and established Kingfisher Airlines, hoping to take it through a similar success curve. That didn't go as planned, and the airlines ended up in massive debt. Things got so bad that he even had to drop everything and flee to the UK and hide. He's broken several laws ever since and has been arrested numerous times. Mallya went from a billionaire to living the life of a criminal within a few years. Number 1. Adolf Merkel. Adolf Merkel was someone that even made most billionaires not seem as wealthy in comparison. His peak net worth was an unbelievable $12.8 billion. He was one of Germany's wealthiest people in history. Very few ever came close to his level. Like many others, Merkel wasn't immune to the financial crisis of 2008 either. He was hit pretty hard and lost around $4 billion that year. Even after losing a fourth of his net worth, he was still one of the richest men in Germany and the world. But 2008 wasn't kind to him. Towards the end of the year, his investment company, VEN, was on the verge of bankruptcy, lost $6 billion. Tried to do whatever he could to make the money back, but everything failed. After the difficult year, he couldn't deal with any more loss, and on January 2nd, 2009, he committed suicide by jumping in front of a train. That's a wrap for 10 billionaires who are now broke. Which one of these are your cautionary tale? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.